On November 9, 1989, the Berlin Wall, one of the most infamous symbols of the Cold War, was torn down. This event marked the end of a turbulent era in world history and the beginning of a new chapter for Germany. For over 28 years, the wall had stood as a physical manifestation of the Iron Curtain, the boundary between the Soviet Union and its allies in the East and the Western Bloc, dividing not just Berlin but the nation of Germany and Europe itself. Now, almost 30 years later, it is hard to imagine that this barrier, which once seemed so insurmountable, would one day be dismantled. In the aftermath of World War II, the Allies divided the city of Berlin into four occupation zones, each controlled by one of the four victorious powers: the United States, Great Britain, France, and the Soviet Union. As the Cold War intensified during the 1960s, the Americans, British, and French zones merged together to form West Berlin, while the Soviet zone became East Berlin. The two halves of the city were economically, politically, and socially distinct. And in 1971, they were officially declared separate states. In 1961, with the construction of the Berlin Wall, East Germany, officially known as the German Democratic Republic, or GDR, sought to prevent its citizens from fleeing to the West. Over the next 2 decades, about 100,000 East Germans risked their lives trying to escape to the other side. Many were caught and sent back, while others successfully made it over. By the late 1980s, however, the situation was rapidly changing. The economy of East Germany was stagnant, and its citizens were becoming increasingly disillusioned with the government. As the Soviet Union began to experience its own internal problems, it became clear that the GDR would not be able to survive much longer. On November 9, 1989, a representative of the East German government announced that citizens would be allowed to travel to the West. The next day, thousands of East Germans headed to the border checkpoints, demanding to be let through. Confused and unprepared, the border guards let them pass. Within hours, the news had spread across Berlin, and people from both sides of the wall began to gather at the checkpoints, cheering and celebrating. Soon, the crowds were so large that the police could no longer control them. By the end of the day, the border had effectively been opened. Over the next few days, people from all over Germany came to Berlin to celebrate the fall of the wall. They climbed on top of the wall, danced on it, sang, and made love on it.